Boom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. Welcome in. This is Mikey Wine, aka Gundemonium Works, here for part 8 of the resin Tomahawk build. 148 scale from Moscato Models, and I've clear coated everything in gloss, and we're ready to do some decals. But as I'm looking at the sheet that came with the kit, I'm starting to get a little nervous because these are printed directly on the carrier film. There's nothing on top of these decals. In fact, the ink scratches quite easily. These were thrown in. I mean, they were in a baggie when it came with it, but it was just thrown in with the various pieces in the kit. So there's like a little bit of you can see like some blemishes on the back of the sheet where the pieces were, the sharp edges were kind of pressing through the paper. And some of the decals have suffered from that. So I was going to, start applying these, but I'm wondering if I should have clear coated these first, just to have an added layer of protection on top of the ink before cutting them out. Yes, it will make them a little bit thicker, but I don't know. So what I've decided to do is I'm going to cut out this little kite here. What's up, George? How you doing, buddy? Welcome in. So I'm just talking about these decals that were printed. They were printed directly on the carrier film. There's nothing to protect the ink on top. So I'm really kind of scared about putting these in water to kind of see what happens. I don't know if they're just going to blow apart or what. And then I'm thinking about, I've got Mr. Mark softer here. This is what I religiously use on decals. Is that just going to make these things melt into nothing? And even the Mark Setter, the regular Mark Setter, also has a softener in it. So I'm not even sure if I want to do that. But what I've decided to do, and we're going to try it here live on camera, is I'm going to cut out one of these kites. On the left knee, one of those goes right here in the front. And I'm going to attempt to put one on and see what happens. I mean, I might as well test it. If it doesn't work, the reason I'm picking that particular decal is I have some spare 148 Valkyrie decals that have these kites on there. Now, yeah, they are reverse colored. So they won't be exactly the same, but at least I have something that I can put on if this does not work. So you have a deft hand, I believe. Deft hand. What are you talking about, Ron? What's up, Ron? Can you guys hear me okay? I'm not sure what you mean. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut one of these out and just see what happens. Let me turn on my little coffee cup heater here, my warmer. Keep my water warm. I already started with some hot water, but it's probably cooled off a little bit, so I'm gonna warm it up, and I'm gonna cut this decal out and see what happens. See if it's a complete and utter disaster, because it's like I can actually see the print lines. I mean, you want to talk about low quality decals. I mean, this whole kit has been an experience of, numerous errors and numerous flaws in the kit for the amount of money. I mean, you're good at this, but I'm not rooting. Thanks. I appreciate that, Ron. Thanks for clarifying. I'm really, there was a lot of defects with it and a lot of things I had to fix before I could proceed with building this kit. And now the decals are ready to go, and it just seems like this may be one more thing that may be disappointing. I don't know, and I'm dreading the next kit that's going to ship this week, the 172 Gouache, which is coming hopefully for my birthday next week. we'll see if we get it by then. But so here we go. I'm dipping this in the water. What's up, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you too, as always. So we're trying an experiment here. We're going to try the decals that came with the kit and just see exactly how good they are, if they transfer properly. Let's see how warm my water. Oh, my water's kind of cold. I'm going to turn this up on high, get it warm. Before I even try to move that decal, I'm going to wait till my water gets warm here. It might already be ready to move, but oh, it's already moving. Okay. Well, let's do it. It's going to move. It's going to transfer. Let's go. So far, it seems like it moves pretty easily on the paper. I'm just really, really worried about the ink, because the ink is so very thin. It's even thinner than the carrier film. I got some, let me clean off my tweezers here. Last night when I was clear coating these parts, had the occasional piece of lint that would get in the clear coat, and I'd have to fish it out with my tweezers. And so I didn't clean my tweezers off, and I got some. All right, well, here we go. So far, so good. I'm so unprepared. I don't have my Q-tip out. Ready to go. All right, so it looks good. I mean, the print quality isn't that great. Let's make that perfectly clear. But as far as the way the decal went down, it's acting like a regular decal. I'm just afraid the ink is going to scratch, because there's really nothing to protect it. And I did see some scratches on a few of the decals that are there because they were, in the packaging and shipping of everything. It just so happens. So I'm centering this on the light, even though the light isn't exactly centered on the. I guess I can center it on the knee itself. But anyway, I'm gonna let that sit. Let some of that water evaporate, and then I'll put some softer on there to hopefully soften it up. Hopefully it doesn't destroy it. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. And if we continue with that, then I did clear coat all these missiles, every single one of them. And I panel lined them as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my mecha decals, and I'm going to put a decal on the nose of every one of these missiles. So I got 24 of those to do. Not sure how much we will do of those tonight. I might do nothing but those. We'll see. It depends on how disastrous this one comes out. If it comes out good, then we'll keep moving forward. But if not, not. So anyway, everything looks good. Looks nice and shiny. And I like the color. I think I got enough of a gloss coat on here that my decals aren't going to have any silvering, or at least any definite problems with that. There's some, like the dome here, that's going to have a pretty large decal on it, so I'm gonna have to use some softer on some of these surfaces that are curved. Of course, we're going to have to use that to those irregular surfaces. But I was really just curious as whether or not this was going to work. So far, so good. And of course, you have to cut these out individually. They're not. The carrier film is not pre-cut, so you have to cut it as close as you can to the decal, and I'm trying to do that so I don't have a big edge to cover up with my clear coat. Scratches equals weathering. This is true. There's always a way to turn this into a positive, George, and you always seem to find that way. I appreciate you. Yeah, I did notice, though, I was looking at these through a magnifier, because I was trying to read some of them. They're not clear enough to really read that well. But then there's a series of decals over here. They say Moscato on them. So he's taking a little liberty and putting his name on them. I will not be using those, not because his name's on them. But there's some of these decals that are just thrown on here. I'm not even sure they're really going to be used on this. A lot of the reference photos I have very little of these on there. The big D7s, the UN Spacey, all those nice decals, yeah, but not the small warning decals. what I'll probably do with that, I'm going to add some mecha decals to the feet. You know, kind of like the way the Gundam stuff is. You see some of those decals along the edges. Maybe around some of the vents and stuff like that, I might do some of those little warning decals for the mecha decals, but I'll probably do those in white, since those will show up the best on this background. I don't know. I'm not sure if red. They only come in 3 colors right now, and I'm not sure if red is really going to be the one to use. So I think I want to do them in white. So this is finally setting up here. It was still moving around quite easily. I'm just trying to make sure it's straight. It's pretty good. There's no, it went down pretty clean. There wasn't any real large amount of water underneath it. I didn't have to really roll any out. I'm just doing this to get those, if there is any little imperfections out, I'm just very lightly rolling the edges to pull out some of that water, if any. But I am going to do this to try to soften that carrier film, at least on the edges, because that's the hardest thing to cover up, is the edges on a decal. I do not typically use, I'm going to have to grab another one of these. I don't like a bunch of this. If it pulls up, I try to take off a little bit. Let me grab another one of these real quick. Let's see what's going to be down here. Got a bunch of these blue cloths, and they're like lint-free cloths. Those small ones that I salvaged from these headlight restoration kits years ago when we were doing those at work. All right. Just so I have a clean sheet that I can. All right, we'll let that sit there and marinate under the softener. I'm just going to give it a second little dab here. Looks good. Well, maybe we're in luck. Maybe we're okay. It was really kind of scary there for a second, because they just don't look they look very delicate. Let's put it that way. To put it lightly, they look delicate as hell. But that seemed to work out, at least for the first one. All right. So with that, I guess I can go ahead. The one I was going to do was on the nose here, figuring that would be a nice one to do. So is my water warm yet? Oh, that's getting there. It's tepid. Can probably go down to low setting. So the one that goes on there is this large triangle. It's like a yellow triangle decal, the hammer and torch. Since that worked out good, I'm going to go ahead and just try to put this one on. I've cut it very close, as close as I can to the edges, so it won't have a lot there to cover up. The circles are a little bit tougher to cut, only because the curved edges. I thought, well, let me get my circle cutter out, but I don't know if I want to try to cut around a decal with a circle cutter and make that work. So anyway, did I miss anything in the chat? No, not so far. Everybody's here. Okie doke. So how was everybody's Halloween? Look, I didn't do anything. I sat here and worked on my models. So I've got some reference photos here that I'm using to see, decal placement and stuff like that. I'm not even sure if this, I think this is a model kit. There's a lot of toys out there that really look close to what we have. So this just kind of goes centered in there. There's not a whole lot to that. So, well, so far these are moving off the paper very easily. Very easily. Almost scary how easy they're coming off. Just really, the carrier film seems like it's really thin. All right, this one's going to be a little tougher. I am going to, oh boy, I've got to get this wet. There we go. I got to get it wet because it's not moving around. There's a little bit of an edge. There we go. And I got it to flatten out. And it kind of scared me there. It went on dry, so it wasn't underneath it, and it kind of stuck almost immediately. But it does appear that the carrier film is at least thick enough and strong enough that you can manipulate these decals without. You just have to be careful of the ink. I'm just kind of squeegeeing out some of that water that's underneath it. I had to force some water under it to make it start moving around again. It's not straight by all means right now, but all I'm trying to do is just get the majority of that water out, and then I'll move it around. There'll be enough left that I can adjust it before I let it sit. And this is going to be, I mean, while I'm doing this, I noticed that, you know, the panel lines, some of the stuff isn't quite centered. There's little things like that as you start to do these. You're trying to center a decal in the middle of this field. What did I miss here? I took the kid around with James' neighbor. Oh, cool. Yeah, James has got a great neighborhood for that. A lot of big houses. They have like full-size candy bars too. But anyway, what I was saying was, like, you try to center this decal in this field, and then you realize that these panel lines aren't quite in the same spot. So they're, oops, I just realized I gotta paint the background of that circle there in black. So I'm gonna get it centered as best I can, make it look as good as possible, considering the piece isn't quite symmetrical. So, all right. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second. Let's let that focus in. There we go. It's pretty good. Yeah, pretty quiet Halloween. Handed out candy. Yeah, I did listen to your stream this morning, George, and you were telling me there was only like 3 or 4 kids showed up. So I think that was kind of like what we had too. Our little community, we got 16 units in this little community. I mean, we're in the middle of a main street, and there's a lot of houses, but the kids don't usually come off the main street. They usually get the ones that are on the street. We're kind of tucked in the back a little bit. And so last year, at least, the ones that did show up were late, and it was late at night, and they were the older kids, the ones that probably shouldn't be trick-or-treating anymore. And by that time, I had a bunch of candy left. I just poured the whole thing, and they were sharing the bag, and or a pillowcase, So I just opened the bag, and I said, "Here, guys, take it," and I just dumped it all in there. They scored big time for showing up when they did. All right, so let's see what this looks like. Not too bad. The carrier film is pretty thin. I like it. I mean, even though it's thin, it does seem to be tough enough to at least apply these decals nicely. I'll go back over them. One thing to talk about, especially with the knee sections here, is the lenses that came with this kit. I shared some photos with the guys, the Am fam. The lenses that came with the kit don't fit. They fit in the hole. Let's put it that way. They do fit in the hole where they're supposed to. But the groove that was cut out for the lens is not the same shape as the actual lens. I'm going to kind of pop this in, not completely, because it's hard to get out. But let's see if this will focus. If you look on this side, okay, let's see, there's a gap. You can see the plastic in the hole, the opening, there's an actual gap. And that's just ridiculous. I mean, how do you fix that? So what I decided to do was I cut my own lenses. I actually sacrificed a clear plastic box that's about roughly the same thickness. And then I put a piece of tape over it, drew an outline. And again, I'm not pushing these in all the way, but my glass fits perfectly. And I just carefully sanded each one left and right because they're both slightly different. And so I just, a little at a time, whittled away until I got them both to fit nicely in those lenses, or in the where they're supposed to go. Let's put it that way. All right. So I think this is set enough. I'm going to make sure. Yeah, it's still, they do slide around quite easily, which is okay. I'd rather have it move than be like stuck in the wrong position. At least I know I can make adjustments as needed. So yeah. Just trying to get this centered just right. Looks pretty good. Let's see. Pretty quiet. Let's see. Hey, he says stream this morning every week. What's the stream, George? Oh, he's up early. Yeah, it would be. Well, he's what? Your time, Ron. You're about. Are you an hour ahead of me? I don't know. You're Eastern Washington, so I don't know. We might be same time zone, but anyway. Yeah, you guys should. If you can get up early enough, sure. George will laugh. He remembers when I was in Arizona dealing with my mom's estate. I was waking up at 3 a.m. just to go to the bathroom, and I was like, "Oh, George might be on," and I rubbed my eyes and opened my eyes long enough to catch the beginning of his live stream. We kind of joked about how funny it was that I was taking a pee-pee break every time he was starting his show. Let's say we worked on the East Coast time zone the last 4 years. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of like my wife. She works remotely too, and it's all East Coast based stuff. So she's up at 4 a.m. She starts at 5 because they're all 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern. So it's 5 a.m. here. I'm right behind her. I get up just a little bit after her, but I'm trying not to move this around, especially after putting the softer on there, but I think that's as good as that's going to get. It's pretty centered. I think it looks all right. Let's see if I can get it. I'm trying to keep the glare down, but at the same time, you kind of see. There we go. Looks pretty good. Yeah, and so far, it doesn't appear to be any kind of silvering going on, although you can't see much behind the ink, which is fine. But I am going to, now that this is placed, I'm going to give it a good dose of some softer. Yeah, I think that's what he meant, is that his whatever job he's got is based on East Coast time. So like I was saying, that's just like my wife. She does the same thing. Her company is all back in New Jersey, I think. Okay, so I think we can say so far that the decals that came with the kit are a success. I was really nervous about those for a bit, but now that I've tried a couple, got a few more giant pieces of lint here that got caught. This is probably left over from my panel lining. It might have come off of my Q-tips. And oftentimes they don't show up until you start clear coating, and then they start collecting some of that clear coat, and they show up. You can see them a little bit easier. Get in there and dig them out. This is in a corner where there's like a raised detail, and it was probably snagging that Q-tip I was using a bit. There we go. Okay. So Let that sit. I'll check that in a minute. I think this one looks nice. Yeah, the carrier film feels good, nice and smooth, nice and dry. Color looks okay. All right, missiles. Let's see. Let's pull out the Mecha decals here. So I got 4 on here that I can use right away. And let's see around here. I did, yes. Wow. It's crazy. Some people do it though. Those people that work remotely. That's what I just like I said, like my wife, that's exactly what she does. So I'm just going to cut these off. I don't need any more, at least right away, of the sheet here. Although the white ones are very hard to read because of the background paper. So I've got both sheets out here, and I can look at some of these, look at the red ones and see which decal I want to use, and then go and grab one and cut one off of the white sheet. Just because, like I said, they're hard to read with the color of the paper and a nice white ink. It's very hard to read. All right, so I'm just going to pop these back in my bag here, and I have one other sheet that has more of these circles that I'm going to use. And these are a warning. It's like a warning label, but it's a circle. It should fit really nicely right on the tip of each of those missiles. So I got 24 of them to do. Get this paper back in. I like to keep my decals nice, but these little bags are sometimes a pain in the butt. Okay, that's one. Now let's do this. Let me see how many. I got 24 to do. Let's see how many decals I got here. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3. So there's 21. Well, that's not giving me much margin for error then. So there's 21. I have a total of 25. So that means that I've only got one extra if I make a mistake. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did with that other sheet. I'm just going to cut off this entire strip here. That will go back in the bag. And then we will leave one left. Cut 20 of them off of this sheet. That's why I ordered another one of these sheets, because I needed more of these little circles. And I've used them before. I used them on the Hainu. The same thing had some missiles on the heavy weapon system, had some shoulder missiles, and I put those on there as well, and that looks really cool. And because these are printed by Cartograph, you can actually read the warning label. It's that clear. The print quality is amazing. And I'll say it again. I don't get a kickback from Mecha Decals. I'm not selling them. I just think if you decide to buy some, you will not be disappointed. That's all. If I could just get this protective paper in here, back in the bag, I'd be good. All right, almost there. Julius, what is up? Good to see you, my friend. As always, thanks for coming, hanging out. Oh my God. Here's exactly what I was just talking about. Did I just do that? I must have done that with the bag. Damn it. I nicked the corner of this decal. I must have hit it with the damn plastic bag. Okay. Well, like George was saying, scratches means weathering. So I'm going to chalk that up to, you see what happened? I knocked the corner of the yellow off, right off the corner here. right there. So we will have to integrate some weathering into that section and make it look like it was on purpose. It was on purpose, right? It was on purpose. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I didn't even realize that I was trying to get those decals back in, and I probably just hit the corner of it with the bag. And because I had that softener on there, it didn't take much. Again, these aren't the strongest decals anyway. But I think I just proved my point. So that being said, I'm going to put some more on here and just kind of soften everything up. Make sure it's good and in the edges that I just created. Oh, well, damn it. I was kind of hoping I didn't have to worry about something like that, and I went ahead and did it. Oh, well. So I'm going to start with 4 of these that I've already got cut out, and these are a small little, it looks like a circle on screen, but there is a warning label written into that circle, a portion of it. So I'm just going to start with, come on, camera, focus. Focus down here. I hate that. Sometimes my camera focuses up there and then it won't recover. Come on. All right. We're going to have to fix that here real quick. Let me just dip this in the water. Come on, focus down here. There we go. I don't know why it does that at times, but it's my little camera, I guess. So I've got 4 of these, and these are brand new decals too, so they should move very easily. I only have 1 extra. Now, an interesting note I should point out too is that these are not just a circle. They are a hollow circle. In other words, the carrier film does not cover the entire circle. It only covers the ink, which is kind of crazy when you think about the size of this. So I'm going to try to do these. I'm even going to go so far as to put these on in a direction where they're all going to be the same, based on the little notches that go around the missile. So this may not even focus, but I'm going to try to get the tip of that. Let's see. Is it going to focus on the... It's too hard to see it, huh? Yeah. Oh, well. I'll post some pictures. You guys will see. You'll just have to take my word for it. So I'm going to try to place the warning portion on, the orientation the same per missile. So, I mean, that's how anal retentive I am, I guess. I'm going to try to make these as uniform, thinking if these were a manufactured part, that there would be, they would all be done the same. So the labels would be the same as well. Right? Right. So I had to get some extra water on there just so I can move this around a little bit. Get it centered. Okay. Yeah, that's the perfect size too. This is the 1/100 sheet as well. Ron has, yes, you are. Yes, they are. I have bought all. What's the question? What I missed? Mega decals are great. Yes, they are, Ron. They are. Agreed, Ron. My guess, super great quality. Oh, good. You guys have some then. I bought all of the 1/100 and available colors. So remember, Tim. Yeah. I have set 4 as well already. It's not on sale as like the other sets are, but I did go ahead and buy set 4 in every color and every scale, which was only 1/100 and 144. But I did get all 3 colors. I think, if I'm not mistaken, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really hoping that the rumors are true and that there will be more colors available, including even multiple colors, not just a single color decal. I think they're working on something like that. I'm hoping that's the case. That was my wife sneezing. If you heard that on camera, that was her sneezing downstairs. Okay. Decals was, let's see, I'll make a decal as a set 1 a few weeks ago. Yeah, most of the early sets, like 1 through 3, you can get pretty cheap. Except 4 is the only newest one, and it's still full price. But the other ones you can get as little as I think like $5, maybe even cheaper than that. So this is going to go relatively quickly, I hope. I'm just doing one at a time here. Again, these are not a full, the carrier film does not cover the complete circle. It only covers the ink. So there's actually a hole in the center. Once I get the warning portion orientated where I want it, there we go. Oh, Jonathan's in. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing? Good to see you as always. Appreciate you guys hanging out. All right. I will go back through as well when I'm done and do each one of these. Put some of that softener on each one of these again once I get them all placed. Right now I'm just getting the decals placed. And then I put a little bit on each, a little bit on the last 3 I did. A little bit of softener, but then I'll go back just one more time once I know that it's set enough. By the time I get done with all of these, should be attached really nicely, actually. Okay, so that was 4. Now 20 more to go. So I am going to just I think I'm going to do these about 4 at a time. That seems to be a good pace, because then they're not sitting too long on the film after I hit them in the water. Just going to move these out of the way. All right. I'm doing good, making a dry brush palette. Nice. That's cool. I want to get more oil paints. I have a few oil brushers, but that's the only thing I have that's really an oil paint. They work really well. I love them. But I want to get one of those, like a piece of cardboard or something, and just get a bunch of oil paints that I can do a lot of weathering with. Because I really want to make this guy. This is, these are mass-produced defense destroids. I mean, they're going to be beat up. There's going to be oil leaks. They're going to be greasy. That's what I want to do. I want to have all the joints just kind of oozing with gunk. And so I think to do that, I'm going to go to my local. I've got a local craft store downtown Monroe. It's about 6 miles away. But I think if I go there, I think they have oil paints. Hey, what's up, Angel? How you doing? Angel Cigar in the house. All right. So we're just putting decals on missiles one at a time. Oh, come on now. The Q-tip is not cooperating. Well, this decal is being a little finicky. Let me get some water on it. Whoa. That just came off on the Q-tip. Put that back on my missile. Yeah, I went to wet it and it just sucked it right off. Right onto the Q-tip. So then I had to make sure I knew which direction I had to go. I want to put it upside down. Yep, Ben Franklin. That's exactly what the store I was thinking of. Exactly the store I was thinking of. Let's see. Oh my God. I swear to God. I'm going to have to be super careful because I just bumped the tip of this other missile that I had already done. Of course, the decal is softer and shit right now, so now it's... I'm trying to straighten it out. All right. I think I saved it. But I think I'm going to take all these out. At least the ones I haven't done. And rather than trying to stick them back in here while I've got other decals setting. That's the problem. I'm just bumping shit, and I don't need to be making these kind of mistakes right now. So I'm going to take all the ones out that I have not done, and then I can put them back one at a time. I've got a little piece of foam here with a bunch of holes in it. 25 holes to be exact. 24 missiles, nearly the entire thing. I'll just do one at a time and then put it back in there, and that should protect the ones that are drying. These are, I mean, the quality of these are great, but they still are tiny little circles, and they're hollow circles, so they definitely still can be a pain if you're not careful. I tried to place that one, and it wanted to kind of wrinkle on me. So I just put a little bit of water on it. Just take it easy, take your time, be patient, and flatten it out. It's good to go. I can barely see them. Yeah, well, you got a big TV too. You got the 85-inch going, probably. Yeah, they are small, but they're perfect for the tip of these missiles, because there's a little, there's the white center, and then there's a little bit of a white ring around the outside of that warning circle. So it's good. I like it. The other day he was over here and we were talking about these, and so you know what, you saw those ones on the Hainu, and So this is working out exactly the way I wanted it. Although I did already damage one of the decals that came, not the corner off of that one. You can see it right there. I was trying to put the decals back in the envelopes, and I tapped the corner of it and just ripped it right off. So I can either try to touch that yellow up, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to match that, or I'll just make some damage, at that point and make it look like some wear and tear other than me being stupid. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. All right. And I am trying to orientate these in the same way. And then I will, take a look at each one when I install them. And that way they should all be in the same direction. Weathering damage, yep. That's exactly right. Got a tiny piece of lint under this one, and it's being finicky because I can't get the lint. I'm trying to pull that lint up. My decal's in the way. I only have one extra of these too, so if I screw one up, then I have none left. So I got to make sure I don't fuck them up. All right. That's good. Moving right along. Get on there. I like the way these decals, particularly these circles that I'm putting on here. There's not a lot of carrier film around the outside edge, so there's very little that I have to worry about trying to, if any overlapping those edges of the missile. I mean, if you magnify the top of the missile, you got the circle. That carrier film doesn't have to wrap around the edge of it because there's not much there. Doesn't take much to get it seated. Or come on, let go. All right. Looks like I got 13 more to do. After this, one more on this sheet and 3 more sets of 4. All right. Toss that. Okay, next 4. Ready for the dunk. Yeah, so Ron, did you ever get your little coffee warmer? I know one of the times I was using this on screen, you're kind of like, hey, I didn't know. That's a good idea. I was just wondering if you ever went and picked one up. These do not take long to come off the film either. I'm just going to go ahead and dunk all these because I can work like an assembly line here. So a little bit more. There we go. And then the last 4. By the time I get done with these, the next set will be ready to go. Oh shit, that one folded in half. That is not going to be easy to unfold. Damn. All right. Time to bust out the heavy-duty magnifiers. I'm going to try to save this circle. As soon as I pulled it off the film, it folded in half on me. So I got to zoom in 4 times. See if it's, I mean, it's like, God, it's like right in half too. If I can't get it unfolded, this is going to be the one that gets damaged, and then I'm going to have to worry about trying to make sure that I only got one extra. Yeah, I don't see this happening, guys. Come on. I didn't even dunk that in the water either. It just, no, I'm not going to be able to save it. All right, that one's dust. So now we're down to no more. I don't have any extras here, so I got to make sure I don't make that mistake again. I got one left on the sheet over there that I put back in the bag. I'll fish that one out of the bag here in a minute when I get there. I still got plenty of decals here to do. I did indeed, and got Brenda one for actual drinks. Yeah, my wife had one too, and she burned it up. I bought her one. She used it every day for like all day, and I guess it finally just couldn't handle it. It'll turn on, you know, the lights will light up, but it won't heat up. I think it might be her cup, because I know that mine came with a little, like a hockey puck. If you had a cup that was hollow on the bottom, you put this little ceramic puck thing on there, and it would make sure that the thing could detect a cup on it, on the. Also, it helped transfer the heat through it, because you know, if it's hollow on the bottom, it's not going to be a lot of the heater touching the actual coffee cup. So, but anyway, hers quit. I think we tossed it, but I'm not sure she still has it. But, oh well. They are nice for decals, especially this kind of stuff, because it keeps your water nice and warm, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, it's cold. It's starting to get cold. And you put hot water on the table, and then 5 minutes later it's cold. You know, it's just like, geez. All right, cranking right along here. Got 8 more, including the one I fucking ruined. Shit happens, right? What are you gonna do? You can sit here and try to fix it, or you can just give up. I choose to fix it, I guess. $39 here, so not bad. Yeah, it was yesterday morning. It was probably the coldest it'd been since, you know, summer ended. And one morning when I went to work, I think it was, I can't remember what day. What was it? Maybe Thursday or Friday last week. And it was like 33 driving in, but it's been in the 40s here too. I think overnight it's only like high 40s tonight. It's not even really going to be, not even freezing. Although I am going to take my car, and I got my tires, my winter tires. I bought them. They're sitting in my garage. So I'm going to go and go into work on Saturday and install them. I hate doing tires, especially run flats. And my car has run flats. They're a pain in the ass. So, but you know what? At least I will be safer on the road. My tires are all season tires that came with the car, and they're worn out anyway. I mean, it was time to replace them. Either I'm going to put the same tires on, or I'm going to put winter tires on. So what I'll end up doing is I'll put the winter tires on now, and then when it comes time to change them out for summer, I'll just have to buy another set of summer tires, because these are just done. And last year was terrifying a couple times on the way to work, particularly like in December when I was trying to fly out to Arizona. I had to drive into work, and it was so cold, and it was blowing so hard, the wind was blowing, that it created this polished sheet of ice on the streets. I mean, it looked like a hockey rink. It was just unreal. And it was terrifying. And then I had these tires that were starting to get worn out, and I made it to work. In fact, the airport that I was flying out of was the only one running. They'd shut down every other airport in the area for snow and ice and stuff. And so when I got to my airport, it was the busiest. It's normally the quietest airport ever. And I got there, and it was all of a sudden the busiest airport, because everybody was going there to try to get out of town. In fact, my other brother was in, he was trying to leave out of Portland, but they shut Portland down. SeaTac was shut down. Portland was shut down. Bellingham was shut down. Painfield was the only one running. And yeah, that was the worst drive-in, though. There was a couple times where I just saw the guardrail and thought, yep, okay, we're just going to run into that now. Here it goes. And I started sliding. The steering wheel doesn't do anything. You turn the wheel and nothing happens. You just kind of keep going straight and think, well, all right. You get prepared for that insurance claim, because this is going to suck. But kept my head, kept your head in it, and you kind of gingerly turn the wheel in the direction you want to go, and eventually the tires started grabbing, and was able to straighten it out. But man, you talk about pucker factor. Yeah, that was definite pucker factor. All right, I got one more. I got to fish out that, I think it's on the second sheet. Yeah, here it is. Well, I'm glad I bought this, but I used them all up. I only had one extra in case I made a mistake, and guess what? I'm using them up. All right, so let me cut off this last one. All right. Back in the bag. Dunk it. Then we'll go back to the regular model. The rest of the, start putting some of those other ones down. That's it for a couple seconds. Grab a drink. Cheers, everybody. So, how's everybody doing? What's everybody working on? George, you're still working on your GM, or are you doing something else on the stream tonight? Angel's got a cool dragon going on. Warhammer, I believe, right? Miniature. I got a griffin I got to paint too. That might be something to do for like a different project. Let's do that griffin that James gave me. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what... Okay, now that I've got all 49 of these, actually 24, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to hit these with one more, each one of them. Now that they're just sitting in the stand here and they're dry, I'm going to hit them with one more dose of softener. That should just take up. Then I can just hit these with clear coat, and it should make that seam, those edges disappear altogether. Still, this book, the book nook, it's been enjoying all day. Yeah, saw the picture of that. It's kind of interesting. All right, almost. There we go. Not too much. So I'm just kind of, because it left kind of like a little bit of a, I don't like dosing them too much with that softener, especially a small decal like these. So I'm just using the edge of the towel here to kind of just grab a little bit of that excess. I'm still leaving enough softener on there to do the job, but this way it doesn't completely obliterate the decal, you know. Okay. All right. What should we do next? I got this sheet here. Let's see. Let's do, I'll tell you what, let's bring out the hatches here. We're going to do those two. So these are the missile cover, the hatches. Go over these shoulder missiles here, here, and here. So they kind of go on like this, just like that. All right. And there's a missile or a decal on the front. Each one. Let me grab my reference photo here, just so we can. Let's see. So yeah. So there you can see that those triangle decals there in front. That's what we're going to put on next. All right. I was asking Moscato actually about these decals too, and he responded saying, just cut them directly from the sheet. Well, that's what I've been doing. So, and so far so good. Surprisingly, they look a lot more. I mean, the ink is still very fragile. It will scratch, but as far as the decal, the carrier film isn't as delicate as I thought it might have been, which is good. Because I was kind of worried. I was like, man, for all the issues I've had with this kit, the last thing I want is fucking decals being a nightmare. The one thing, the markings that you want to come out nice, you know, just being jacked for whatever reason. All right, so we got two of these. Just going to separate them so I can dunk them individually. All right. It was James way of sucking me into Warhammer because he knows he likes dragons and things that fly. You know? That is true. He got you. He probably got you. That was close. Cut one of these and I cut it really close to the decal. I almost missed the. I was trying to leave a little bit of a carrier film border. In fact, shit. Gotta try that really quick. I just realized, oh fuck. Wow, that came off in a hurry. I forgot that these are not pre-cut. There we go. I had to cut off this excess carrier film because that would have left a big chunk of film that I don't need on a decal. But I just barely put it in the water and took it off, and it was already running off the paper. All right. Now let's get my Q-tip. So this decal says danger on three sides. Danger, danger, danger. Missile launch system, which is almost what the actual, what some of the reference photos show. But oh, you know what? I just realized I got these big magnifiers on. I can't figure out why. I was like, why does everything look like it's so close? I'm still using the 4x trying to straighten out that decal. Wow, that's way better. All right, that's pretty good. We'll let that sit for a second. I'll dunk this one. These definitely don't take long. Let me see, make sure that's kind of where. Yeah, they've got it pretty close to this front edge. So I'm good with that. If you look at where they're located in the photo, pretty close to that front edge. All right, next. I just want to make sure I match the other side. And one way to do that is to put them side by side like this. Okay, let those sit there for a minute. Get good and dry, and then I will hit them with some softener. Let's see, what can we cut out next? There's actually two more that go on these, and they go on the front. And that is, I think, let me see. It's called a D210 184. Let's see, where is the, there we go. So if I zoom in, you see the front there, it says D210 194. And that's going to be these two. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to cut those white ones out there in the middle. That's why I got my straight edge out, because the carrier film on these is so, there's no border on any of these decals. I literally have to try to cut it as close as I can. Without, cutting off the decal. All right, here's the 194. All right, now let's cut out the D210. I'm going to trim this down a little bit too, because this has a little cutout where the D is on this D210 decal. So I'll try to I want to get most of that carrier film off. So very little border on anything. All right, that's pretty good. I'll just trim off the edge of the corners around this 0. Okay, that's pretty good. So the D210, I got to decide which one's going to be left and right, because at this point, that will determine which one gets which decal. I think I had these a left and a right. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think this one goes over here. Okay, so that's left. This is right. Yeah. They're going to be open anyway, but I did have to test fit them before, so I know which one's left and right. Okay, so this one's getting D210. And then the 194. On that side. I guess I can do this while I'm letting that sit on the paper for a minute. Just hit these with some softener now that they have set enough to hold in place and not move around. All right, first off, gotta get a little bit of water underneath this because this one's stuck almost immediately. There we go. Sometimes when these decals go down, they just instantly adhere. And it's almost like, geez. So by getting a little bit of, forcing a little water underneath it, you can, again, start moving it around. Otherwise, you'd be kind of screwed because once it sits, it's not going to move. And if you don't get it to move, then it's going to be, if it's crooked, it's crooked. You got to fix it. All right, that's pretty good right there. Let that sit for a second. I'm going to pull out this 194. Yeah, these are so thin too. The tricky part too on this is sometimes you have a tendency to look at the carrier film and use that as your line to adjust whether it's straight or not. The problem is if you didn't cut the carrier film straight, then your decal is going to be crooked. So I just caught myself doing that. I was looking at the line that I'd cut, using that as a reference. Then I realized my decal was actually crooked because it was not cut straight across, or at least perfect anyway. So something to think about. Fuck. Hang on, I just moved this whole decal. Now I gotta wet it again. Okay. Wow. I was just trying to kind of wipe that off, and I almost just folded that decal in half. Wow. That was lucky. These are so damn fragile. I have to be very careful. I'm gonna let it sit and dry for a second. Let's see, Chris Paz. I feel like you got through the build super fast, man. Yeah, that is true. It is kind of moving along pretty quickly. I guess the reason I was thinking about this, in fact, it's funny you say that because I actually thought the same thing. Like, this is going pretty quickly, and I think the reason is because there's no internal frame. There's not a lot of work being done to the inside of everything. It's all just solid pieces, So the most of the work was done just prepping the resin, making sure it was clean, and I've been pretty fortunate. I've only had a couple of little tiny lifts, and that was like on the bottom of a foot. There's a couple little pieces that lifted when I pulled tape off, but other than that, everything has been sticking real well. I'm real happy with the Gaia Evo surfacer. That seemed to work great for the resin, and I used gray and black on this whole project. The cockpit came out really, really nice. I like the way the screens look. The photo etch in there, the seat belts, the ejection seat, all that stuff looks really cool. One of the things I did do, I installed this, just kind of popped it in there. It fits pretty snugly in the spot, and I went to take it back out, and the glue hadn't set from this the front piece here, and the whole thing blew apart on me. Had to glue it back together, resand it. Yeah, so I fixed all that and got that done. But I clear coated everything last night, and then we're doing decals, and then we'll start doing some final assembly and weather. Well, I'll probably try to weather it before. It's going to be difficult to do this as a solid piece, but I don't know. I got stuck one time because I weathered a kit by individual pieces, and then it turns out it was just way too heavy, because when I weathered each piece separately, it looked great by itself, and then when I put the whole thing together, it just looked ridiculous because it was overdone. So I got to figure out what my process is going to be on that. Julie says, "Hey Mike, Pavs gave you a shout out last week on Bro Builder stream, coming with LED and the STF1 kit." Oh, you're totally welcome, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. I gotta watch his. I haven't caught his live stream. Does he do his own kind of like what I'm doing, or is it a group thing with other builders, because I would like to see that. I know he does it in the afternoons, I think, doesn't he? See if you guys can answer that for me. Let me know, because I really would like to catch his stream one of these times, or more often than just once. You know, I'd like to see it on a regular basis if it's if I can make it happen, if it works out with the scheduling and stuff. Must have heard me typing his name. That's cool. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was real happy. That was that SDF1 build was actually my first attempt at fiber optics. It came out great. I was real happy with that. So here's something else that I did too, and I hadn't showed these yet. These are some of the gun barrels that I go on the kit, and I used the one and only time I used all clad. I typically don't use it as much, if any, anymore. But I did have some hot metal violet and hot metal sepia. Kobayashi, what's up? So I used the hot metal violet and sepia to create that burned barrel effect. And let's see if you can get it to focus. It's hard to see these colors on camera. You might be able to see them there. There's some gradient between the silver, and it's actually the steel color out to the tips. What's up? You live? Yeah, I'm live. So let's see if I've got another one here that looks a little bit easier to see. Maybe this one. So you can kind of see, if I can get it to focus. There we go. See, the tip is done with that violet and the sepia to kind of give you that hot barrel effect. A hot, like almost like exhaust on a motorcycle would be. So, yeah. And then once I get everything assembled, I'm gonna start. Once these missiles are sealed, I've got to go and spray each one of the decals, make sure they're sealed, and then I can start installing them in the torso. I'm going to put all of them in, and it should really make this thing start to come alive, along with the rest of the decals. I still got a lot to do on the torso, quite a few to do on the legs. Very similar with like these D210s. I think there's a couple on the lower leg, a UN Spacey that goes here, maybe even something in this field. Can't remember exactly. I have to look at my photos, my reference photos, but I am going to pull out some mecha decals as well and start, do some of those in various places to try to just overall, add more to it, because some of the warning decals on here are very kind of bland. They're not, you can't read them for one, and then there's not a lot of them that would work well. I think about using some white, low profile, long, something long along the bottom edges of the feet, maybe even in the back. Kind of like what some of the Gundam stuff that we see. I think that would look nice on here, and I think I could find some nice caution decals, especially with the mecha decals. So anyway, thanks Kobayashi. I appreciate that. You're talking about the whole kit as far as like the colors and stuff that's going on. It almost has that kind of an anime cell shade look on camera. It's the same color that I used for the M1 the Abrams tank build that I did before this. But yeah, I think I like the choice, because a lot of the toys I've seen are a lot lighter color. They're more of a tan, like a really light tan color. But I was trying to stick closer to what I saw in the anime, especially in the Macross movie, Do You Remember Love? There's a few scenes where you see this Tomahawk in there, or at least one walking by. You can see the whole leg and stuff like that. And it's more of a yellowish color versus that light tan. So that's what I was going with. Yeah, LED stuff gets to be a little mind block with figuring out resistors, etc. If you need help with that, Julius, there's a site I think Angel showed me, and I use it quite often. And basically, you plug in the numbers. So most LEDs run on 20 milliamps, 3 volts, except for red. Red's the only one that goes like really low voltage. But most every other LED will run on 3 volts. So what you do is you type in, you basically put in numbers. how many LEDs you're using, what's your voltage, 3 volts to whatever, what's your power supply voltage, like 9 volts, 3 volts, whatever if you're using, and then you click Design My Array, and it will automatically do the math for you and tell you what resistor you need, what the resistor is, how much you need to resist whatever particular circuit, and it'll design it. Kind of helps you do the math, so you don't have to figure that part out. If you want, I can hook you up with that website. It's just a quick little one-page thing. You just, like I said, plug in the numbers, and it does it for you. Makes it easy. I mean, it's not like an Arduino type setup where you're doing complex programming and stuff like that. It's just basic. I use a 9-volt battery, and I got 12 LEDs, and they run on this much. How much, what kind of resistor do I need? And it'll tell you exactly where to put it and how to wire it up. So it works. I have some other original Macross decals if you need any. No, I'm good. Actually, I've got a bunch of leftover ones from a 148 Valkyrie, so that will work great with this scales. This is 148 as well. That's why I was kind of experimenting with this first decal tonight, because if I'd screwed this up, or if it didn't work, if they just blew apart, then I was going to bust out the other ones that I had. That I have some of those left over from a Valkyrie kit that I didn't use, and I was going to actually just substitute those in. So appreciate it, but I think I'm pretty good. I'm not going to overly decal the thing, but I do want to add a few mecha decals here and there, some warning labels around, like I said, around the feet, maybe around the exhaust ports and things like that. But other than that, yeah, I think we're going to stick with that. And of course, the stencil that I did on the leg, I think it came out really nice. It just makes this whole kit come together, because that decal is not included in the kit, and it's important. It's an important marking. It's on all the legs. Every single Destroid you see, even from the Phalanx to the Rifleman to the Tomahawk, they all have that same marking on the legs. It's almost like a mass-produced suit, like a grunt suit. You got the basic torso or the basic leg setup, and then you just start building. They build different armaments on it, and that's what creates the Destroid. So if you look at all of them, they're all pretty much the same from the waist down. It's just all the upper body stuff that's unique to each one. So anyway, that was necessary for me to mask that stuff off and paint it. So we still got the arms to do. We'll see if we can put something along, maybe some UN spacies along the barrel here. That would be cool. I might even have some white ones left over from a Valkyrie kit. I'm going to have to check that out and see. I think that might look nice on the outside of the barrel. A nice big UN spacie, something like similar to the gun pods that they would use. I think that might look cool. Works the devil. Devil is in the details, right? Yes. The devil is in the details. I agree. So anyway, everybody, with that, we're going to call this one an episode, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, I don't think anything's going to get in the way of the broadcast, other than it's the day after my birthday. So I might have some stuff to show off, and we will see. Hopefully, I'll get that the gouge kit before then. That would be nice. That'd be a nice little show and tell for next week. So once again, thanks everybody for coming out. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys come out and support me every week doing this show. And be good humans. Continue doing what you do. And we will talk to you soon. And we'll see you next time. Laters.